Heidi ho, neighbor. It is Jim Diddley Dempsey. Not to be confused with Jim Diddler Dempsey under any circumstances. Please and thank you. And let's just talk some shit today. Let's shoot the breeze. Because I checked in on the ever reliable black metal promotion channel just to see what dropped today. And found this. Okay, so this unorthodox release, and I have some thoughts, and we'll come back to it because I want to talk maybe a little bit about how I got there. Not just how I feel about it, but why I feel about it. So, let me introduce Jack. Now, when young Jim was very small and growing up in the household with Dad Dempsey, the Lutheran minister, there was much religious symbolism, much religion. And once upon a time, word snuck in and caught young Jim's ear about this guy, Alice Cooper, that would cut his tongue and spit blood at the audience. And a generally kind of horrifying thing for a 4-year-old to hear. Well, it turned out the tongue cutting part is sadly exaggerated, but it made an impression. I filed it away for future reference. Now, as it happened, the first artists that I started getting into when I was developing my own musical tastes beyond what Mom Dempsey would be playing for the kids, it was a lot of hip hop, which at the time was like Boys to Men and Belle Biv DeVoe and the cats that also were in New Edition with them, Ralph and Johnny and Bobby Brown. I dug Whitney Houston and stuff in that vein. And then by the time it became appropriate, middle school, well, I met Jack. Now, Jack had better access to demonic stuff like heavy metal than I did. And he managed to lend me a copy of Master of Puppets, dubbed onto a blank tape. And I felt it was a pretty good start. By that time I was working my way in, but I was kind of relying on stuff like Stone Temple Pilots for the riffs, which is a pretty sad state when you reflect back on it. But the thing about the 80s and the 90s was there was a lot more making do with what you had. And the Puppets was a good start. Well, Jack also had buried in his collection, it took him a minute to pull it out and show me, but he had Bolt Thrower. I do not remember if it was the Realm of Chaos or the Battle Master, but it was one of those two. The gayer one, the Conan the Barbarian cover, and we had very little frame of reference for that kind of music at that young age. Jack compared it to, and I quote, like Megadeth but with weird chanty vocals, which, not necessarily the worst assessment in the world. One time I was working at a pizza place and I had Vader going, and this guy came in and asked me about it. I said, oh, well, it's this band from Poland, Vader. And he said, it sounds like Megadeth meets Pantera. And I said, I would have thought of it like Slayer with blast beats, but we all have the amount of reference that we have to put our frame of reference on something. So, yeah, Jack was my very first, but about that time I started to get the ability to swing my own pocket cash and walk into the record store and ask the guy, where's the good stuff at? And that was how I found Carcass and Autopsy and stuff in that vein. And then I met Big D, and we delved further in together. And this takes us all the way into about the this is the mid-90s by now. And I have to pause and reflect on how long ago it was, because that's how old I am. God willing, it will happen to you. Or you're watching videos on YouTube, so there's a very good chance it happened to you. Who remembers Bolt Thrower? They broke up, right? I don't follow them that much. We went and saw them with Benediction, and I got kind of bored and walked out halfway through. I heard that they played World Eater, but I'm not trying to talk shit. I do enjoy Bolt Thrower, I just don't go out of my way to enjoy Bolt Thrower is all. And what was I talking about this? Because of Big D. Thank you. So I had my primary experience of heavy metal, reading about it as a youngster and hearing about it. Well, Big D heard some, and I believe it was Pantera, perhaps. Something of that vein. I have mentioned he had his nose broken a couple of times in a Pantera pit, and so thus his fondness for the band, whereas I was buying largely on the basis of covers. So Slayer I dug, and Carcass, although I gotta say, Heartwork, I had to have already had a couple of Carcass albums before I would have taken that one based on the cover. And I just didn't feel it with the Pantera covers. They always seemed very stupid to me. So I never gave them a listen. And there was not cable TV in House Dempsey. There wasn't Pantera being played on the radio, so there was just no way for me to have heard it. I went to somebody's house and saw Beavis and Butthead being excited about a Pantera song, and maybe because it was Beavis and Butthead framing it, it seemed especially stupid to me. But by the time I met Big D, I had a pretty good antipathy towards Pantera, which I may have covered. I have a long and complex history with Pantera. I essentially just go back and forth between, like, if I even give a shit about them. But the upshot of all of this is that most of my peers are coming at heavy metal with the idea of that big sound, that manly feel, the riffs, perhaps. And I, not for nothing, when rating an album, give as much weight to the general aesthetic as to the music itself. And then after that, if I think it was even that necessary. But yeah, for me, a cover is as important as the contents, because how else do you judge the book? Am I right? So I think there are ways in which I am a little more open to these unorthodox kinds of things than a lot of my peers, but I have my own takes on the context of these things. I don't like a whole lot of fucking around. I mean, after so many years, I just I aged like Satyricon had they just ceased around Age of Nero, where at first you appreciate a lot of the frills and a lot of the fruitiness and the dancing in the forest Venus, and then over time you are more interested in unorthodox sounds, and then finally you just get down to the essentials and you just want to hear the solid noise. And so I spend most of my time now just listening to early Profanatica, or alternately, I just turn the dryer on and have a go at it. And yeah, so when it comes to this album, the Nel Buio, I should have written that down. I apologize, guys. This slab of Blackwave, well, is it unorthodox? Is it groundbreaking? Is it world shaking? I don't believe so at all. Did I enjoy it? Well, I started to, and then it just went to too many places for me. Were it straight up just some rather minimalist techno with some minimalist black metal elements atop it, I'd probably be down there for it. And if anyone even knows of something that sounds like that, feel free to drop it in the comments and I'll check that one out. But too much happened by track 2 for me to, yeah. Track 2 is actually pretty interesting, but I was already sold by track 1 on, no, I'm not going to give this a number rating and do that general thing because I didn't listen to it in its entirety and I don't even know a whole lot about this to have any idea about the proper context for it. But we'll talk more about that Blackwave perhaps after we talk about some other maybe more pressing business. I hear more and more details about this new mayhem, and I shouldn't give any spoilers because I got some thoughts. And God give me the days to do it. We'll get back to that one. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and feel free to drop a comment with a good exit line because Phil just doesn't like anything that I have. Snotty bastard.